everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Mind Money Methods Market Weekly Scan. And today we're going to start off by looking, which is part of our checklist, at the economic calendar. And we're on the Mind Money Method website. Here it is, here, www.mindmoneymethod.com. We go to the economic calendar and we go and have a look and see what's going on. Because we're taking interest in the US dollar, the dollar index, these weekly videos about that. Of course, we do look at other things as potential stocks. There are commodities that we obviously scan and look at, and obviously other forex markets. But generally, these videos are all based around the dollar index and the related currencies. Some one or two commodities we do normally go over, but we normally got about 7 or 8 minutes for this videos, so we want to keep them short and sweet and give you a taste of what we do at Mind Money Method. So moving on, well, today, which I have, and you would have heard me say in quite a few of my videos, that's part of our checklist is to always go and look. We are not fundamental investors, we are technical traders. So there's a difference between being a technical trader and a fundamental investor. So we don't really base the 1% of fundamental analysis, if you want to call it, is really a lot based around what we see on the economic calendar. And if we see 3 red bulls, that means there's a big decision going to be taking place and we need to be aware of it. So what I have done is I've come here, I've changed my time to reflect the time GMT where I am based here in London. And if I look at this at 7 o'clock my time tonight, US dollar, obviously there's quite a lot going on over here, but the biggest one over here is this Fed interest rate decision. Okay, and this is going to be a big news announcement, and I can assure you that whatever goes on from this interest rate decision, we're going to be looking at seeing, what's the Fed going to do? Are we going to hike the basis points? Is it going to go up? Is it going to affect the dollar? What's going to be taking place? So we need to be aware of this, especially if we're going to be trading any dollar currencies. Okay, we need to be aware if we are in dollar currency trades, especially if we've been trading, a swing trade. So it's been on a trade for a number of days, call it 3 or 4 days. We're already in the trade and we've already been taking percentages off. In other words, our profits. So we may be running into a profit already and we've been scaling out over time. This is okay because it doesn't matter really where it goes as long as we've been moving our stops and trailing our stops correctly and doing our correct risk management, money management. Then we're okay. So normally a big news announcement's not going to have a major effect. But if you are thinking in going into an intraday trade whereby you are going to be thinking of doing a trade in the day at the time, maybe a 1 hour or for 15 minute, a 1 hour or a 2 hour or even a 4 hour chart within the day and you're about to go into it, these sort of big news announcements you need to and should be aware of, especially if it's a big one like this with 3 red bulls Fed interest rate. So the Fed Open Market Committee is members vote on where to set the rate. Traders watch interest rates changes closely as short-term interest rates are the primary factor in currency valuation. A higher than expected rate is positive bullish for the US dollar, while a lower than expected rate is negative bearish for the US dollar. So this is, it's all based on analysis and seeing on the economics of the currency. So now that we know that, we can go and actually have a look and see what is going on with the US dollar. And as we can see, we've had some great uptrend. I mean, we did take a few trades here and made some good, decent cash. I did then take a trade at the top here. I got stopped out. We had a big movement down. And to be fair, I did say last week, if it breaks this level over here, we're starting to look like we're in a downtrend, at least on the daily chart. Well, it's turned out we did break this level. I haven't entered into any trades because I don't just take trades just for the fun of it. I stalk, I see where the technical indicators are lining up and where I can get the highest probable trade where I've got all my technical indicators in agreement as much as possible, at least 95% of it, so before I actually enter into a trade. So over here we've had a big movement down, we broke this level over here, we've come down, so we're in a downtrend on this daily chart. There's no doubt about that. We've moved into a downtrend. Our technical indicators are showing that. Our price action, which is the price candles, is showing the same thing. If I go onto the weekly chart, oopsie, shouldn't have done that, but if I go into the weekly chart, we can see over here, we've got a line. It's all around this 10,000. Some charts will say 100,000, but 10,000 level over here. We've had a rejection off this high number, and we've definitely pulled down. But we've pulled down into the potentially as what we call the buy zone. So the moving averages, it's nicely, the candles are spinning, and we started to have we're in the buy zone. So if I look at this at Annual, we opened this weekly candle at 9.780, and where we are is 9.824. So we actually are up for the week. So we've pulled back. That's all we've done. So potentially this chart is still looking in a bullish manner. For the month, we open at 10.034 and we're sitting at a 9.824. So we're down for the month. So all in all, we do not have all time frames in agreement, which means to me there is no clear direction or trend right now of where the market is going. And therefore, on this interest rate decision, this is going to tell us and probably push us in a direction one way or the other, where we can then start taking our technical analysis and moving on from there. So that's how I'm going to be looking at this dollar index and the market right now. We've got a bit of a messy chart. One is in a downtrend, one's in an uptrend, two are in a downtrend, one's in an uptrend. That's not good enough for me. I want all three at least to be in an uptrend, and potentially if I go down to the 4-hour chart, then I could potentially be looking off trades from there down to the lower time frames. But at least want the 4-hour and the daily and the weekly to be in agreement. With the monthly, it's just a bonus. So that's kind of the plan for this week, where I will be analyzing the dollar index and seeing what's going on. If we do move on to the US dollar, to the Japanese yen, we can see that the Japanese yen has been the US dollar, should I say, has been losing strength. So it's kind of in agreement with the daily on the US dollar that's been losing. So has it been using to the Japanese on the daily. So we pretty much are in agreement with that. The other charts, but still, if I just quickly flick through the US dollar to the Swiss franc, we've had a big massive movement onto the downside, and we are sitting over here waiting to see where we're going at this point in time. Potentially with movements after tonight's Fed rate decision, we're going to be looking for a strong pull backwards or onto the downside. So right now it's quite risky for me. If I were going to be trading any dollar currencies today, I would be clearly staying out of the markets, and I would be seeing where are we going to be going with the US dollar. We look at the US dollar to the Canadian dollar. Well, the US dollar has really strengthened against the Canadian dollar, and it seems to be the case and has been across multiple time frames. However, it's still a little bit risky on where we could be going. So my news, and if we just quickly flick through to the cable, we can see the British pound is still in a downtrend, a technical downtrend. Although I've always been saying I don't like these big long candles, it's a bit too risky for me to trade. I don't really like it. I like them a little bit smaller. However, it is certainly still in a downtrend, and we are in agreement with what's going on. So the British pound to the US dollar is definitely losing. So we are there's been a lot of sell-off of the British pound to the US dollar, being the base currency, the British pound. It's been and it's technically on a downtrend on the daily, downtrend on the weekly, and a downtrend on the daily chart. So folks, this is my analysis for today, for this week, on the US dollar, the US dollar currency. And what I will be doing as a plan moving forward is I'm not going to be doing anything today. I will be just looking at the markets briefly today, and then I will be looking later on, probably an hour, because it only takes an hour or 2 hours a day out of my time, to be honest with you, and to make decisions on where I'm going to, if I'm going to enter into a market, yes, no, and I will make those decisions based on about an hour to 2 hours of valuation, to research and looking at the markets per day. So I will look at this tonight, probably at about 7, to see what the decision has been on the US dollar. It is a big announcement, and I'm sure there will be some movement on the markets, and that's when we let the markets do its thing, recorrect itself, and then we look for entries to the long or to the short. But we certainly don't want to be entering into any dollar currencies unless there is a trade now you could see on the US dollar. If we go back to it over here, and there isn't, but I'm just saying if there was a potential setup for a trade, you could do it as long as you're out before that dollar rate decision is being made at 7 o'clock this evening UK time, and obviously it would be in the afternoon in the US. As long as you're out before that decision is made, you're good. If you are in the markets already and you are trading a US dollar currency or currency pairs, and you have been doing a swing trade, so you've been in it for a number of days, you know, my decision based on that would be I'll let it run and see where we go. As long as we've got our stops in place, as long as we've been taking profits, then that's fine. So the plan for the week, let's see what the decision's going to be, then let the market correct itself and look for the technical indicators to allow us back into the market, into entry points into the market, where we can then go and make our 2-to-1s, 3-to-1 and 4-to-1s, and hopefully make some money. All right, folks, that's it for today. I wish you all the best and happy trading, and we'll catch up with you next week. Cheers. Happy trading, everyone. Bye-bye.